just can't wait to get on the road again. Like my love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again, going places that I've never been, seeing things that I may never see again. And I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again, like land of gypsies, we go down the highway. We're the best of friends, insisting that the world keep turning our way. And our way is on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. Like my love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again.
Don't worry about it.
We're the best of friends, insisting that the world keep turning our way, and our way is on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. Like my love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. Big finish. And I can't wait to get on the road again.
I can't wait.
Welcome to the Ryman Country Homecoming, a gathering of legendary stars of country music at the historic Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee. For 2 days, we taped songs and told stories. We laughed, shed a few tears, sang some great harmony, and, well, just loved seeing each other once again. And now, we would like to share these wonderful and historic moments with you. Here's Gary Beatty to tell you who's on the show.
The stars are Lynn Anderson, Chet Atkins, Bobby Bare, T. Graham Brown, Glenn Campbell, Roy Clark, Barbara Fairchild, Janie Fricke, Larry Gatlin, Crystal Gale, the Giesenslaw Brothers, Ferlin Husky, Waylon Jennings, George Lindsay, Ronnie McDowell, Lori Morgan, Willie Nelson, Dan Seals, T.G. Shepard, Joe Stampley, Ray Stevens, B.J. Thomas, Hank Thompson, Ricky Van Shelton, Porter Wagoner, Gene Watson. And now, here is your host, Ralph Emery.
We are here in the historic Ryman Auditorium in the heart of downtown Nashville. The Ryman was built in 1892 for Captain Tom Ryman, or built by him for his preacher. So the preacher would have a place to preach. Captain Ryman was a riverboat captain. 1897, the Confederate veterans of the war between the states came here, and they built the balcony for that gathering in 1897. Well, here we are today with the real pros of country music in an all-star session at what is now called the Mother Church of Country Music. And here is my co-host, Bobby Bare.
Thank you, Ralph. Well, Glenn Campbell has more talent than anybody ought to have. And Glenn, welcome to our reunion here at the Ryman.
Well, thank you.
It's a pretty guitar.
It is such a... Thank you very much. I bought it from Jeannie Fricke.
You know, Glenn...
Now Waylon wants it.
You know that you were responsible. You were responsible for me having a big hit on a song called 500 Miles Away from Home. Now, I'll tell you why. One night I was driving back from San Diego with Don Bowman, and I heard the old folk song on the radio called 500 Miles. Mm-hmm. And I had just remembered, because when I was living in L.A., you lived right down the street from me, you had given me an album, bluegrass album.
Yeah.
The Green Valley Boys.
Green River Boys.
Green River Boys.
Right.
And I just remembered that song was in that album. And I dug it out and played it, and it was an instrumental. So I wrote a set of lyrics to it, me and Charlie Williams, and brought it back to Chet, and we recorded it, and it was one of my bigger records. Great record, Chet.
Well, you stole my melody.
Well, yeah. You want half of it?
Yeah, I get half of that now, don't I? Thank you, Bob. It is amazing. I've found out in the business how some songs will affect you. you know. And I heard Gentle on My Mind on the radio. I heard John Hartford's record. He did it real slow, and he did it, but it just, I like what the song said. But I appreciate that, Bobby. You got good taste.
Well, thank you very much. And by the way, John Hartford's record was produced by Chet.
Was it really?
No? Who produced it? Felton.
Oh, Felton Jarvis.
Felton Jarvis.
And he did it too slow.
He did it too slow.
And you did it faster.
That was it.
Well, do it the way you did.
Okay.
It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. Thank you. That makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. And it's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and bonds and ink stains that have dried upon some line. That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. It keeps you ever gentle on my mind. And it's not clinging to the rocks and ivy planted on their columns now that binds me, or something that somebody said because they thought we fit together walking. It's just knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiving when I walk along some railroad track and find that you're moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory, and for hours you're just gentle on my mind. I'll play one. I may dip my cup of soup back from the gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard, with my beard a roughening coal piled and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Through cup cans round the tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're waving from the back roads by the rivers of my memory, ever smiling, ever gentle on my mind. And everybody here, you're gentle on my mind. Oh, thank y'all.
That feels good.
Oh, just to sit around and look at these faces here and be singing, man. Whoa, I got something went through me, Ralph.
You know, we were talking about that old album you did at the Garden State Arts Center. Mm-hmm. Do a little bit of that song that you did. You were on Jimmy Rogers' session.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you sang it on that album.
Okay.
If time were not a moving thing and I could make it stay at last, this day would,
you know, I don't know it. I probably know it.
Forever, da 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 da.
I don't remember it, Ralph.
Okay.
That's beyond my span.
You told me you were putting Roy Orbison into your show?
Yes, I am. Since Roy, I started doing it when I was in Australia, about right after Roy passed away. You know, somebody said to me on and said, do Roy Orbison, and I just, all of a sudden I said, the candy-colored clown they call the Sandman tiptoes to my room every night. I used to love to do him, man. I'd mimic him. Just a sprinkle stardust and a whisper, go to sleep, everything is all right. And people just stood up and hollered. And I said, when you find something by accident that gets people attention in your show, everybody would do it, wouldn't they? Especially when you really like to do it.
I was all right for a while. I could smile for a while. But I saw you last night. You held my hand so tight as you stopped
to say hello, or you wish me well. You couldn't tell that I'd been crying over you, crying over you. Then you said so long, left me standing all alone, alone and crying, 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 crying. It's hard to understand that the touch of your hand can start me crying. I thought that I was over you, but it's true, so true. I love you even more than I did before. But darling, what can I do? Though you don't love me, and I'll always be crying over you, crying over you. Yes, now you're gone, but from this moment on, I'll be crying, 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 yeah, crying, yeah, crying. Oh, for you. Thank you very much. Oh, it's too early in the morning to do that. Thank you all so much.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I thought I was going to really mess that end up.
You had a lot of help back there. I think
You got a
you had
lot
about
of guts.
7 people, like, with one note or the other that was ready to jump in.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I loved Roy Orbison, man. I was such a big fan of his. We was in Australia. And I swear, that's the last time I saw Roy. He was over doing a show, and he was so incredibly loved by the people, well, all over the world, but Australia, for some reason, he just killed him over there. He sold out every place he went. Amazing.
So Glenn had a lot of guts singing Roy Orbison, and you pulled it off.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's go back to Bobby Bear, our co-host. And Bobby, who's our next guest?
Well, our next guest is, of course, Crystal Gayle, and she's going to sing a song that the whole world fell in love with Crystal Gayle when they heard her singing "Don't It Make Your Brown Eyes Blue."
That's a song that I was real lucky to get a hold of, because they were going to send that song to California for an artist.
Oh, no.
And Alan Reynolds heard it. He went over to, Richard Lee wrote the song. Richard's a great songwriter and great singer. But he played him a bunch of songs, and Alan said, well, you got anything more? And he said, well, this one song we're going to send to California for this one artist. And he played it, and he says, you're not sending that anywhere. And I'm so glad he went over that night.
Is it true he had a dog with one brown eye and one blue eye?
He was sitting at home. He looked over and saw his dog, and he said, and his dog had a brown eye and a blue eye, and that's where he got the inspiration.
I wish you hadn't told me that.
Don't know where I've been so blue. Don't know what's come over you. You found someone and don't make my brown eyes blue. I'll be fine when you're gone. I just cry all night long. Say it is untrue, and don't make my brown eyes blue. Tell me no secrets, tell me some lies. Give me no reasons, give me alibis. Tell me you love me, and don't let me cry. Say nothing, but don't say goodbye. I didn't mean to treat you bad. Didn't know just what I had. But honey, now I do. And don't I make my brown eyes, and don't I make my brown eyes, and don't I make my brown eyes blue. And don't I make my brown eyes, and don't I make my brown eyes, and don't I make my brown eyes blue.
Glenn's in a sweat.
Woo!
We're right in downtown Nashville, and probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 blocks from here it used to be a place called the Capitol Park Inn, which I think inspired this song that Tom T. Hall wrote, called Margie's at the Lincoln Park Inn.
Yeah, well.
Do I have the story right?
Well, yeah, it was the Capitol Park Inn, and when this came out, you know, this is the ultimate cheating song. And even when it's over, you know the guy did it once, but you don't. Even when it's over, you never know if he went back for what we call seconds. So
Maybe you.
Dixie,
That changed
Tom
seats.
T's wife Dixie says, "Tom, where'd you get the idea for that song?" He said, "Well, I wrote it for Bear." And my wife Jeannie says, "Bobby, you sound awfully believable on that song." I said, "I had nothing to do with it. Tom T. Hall wrote it." If I'm going to sing this song, I got to get rid of this chew I got in my mouth.
How did
I
you
will
get on
try.
tobacco, Bobby?
Huh?
How did you get on tobacco?
The same way Waylon got on drugs. You just do it a couple of times. First couple of times are free, and after that it costs you money.
A little more fun than that.
Oh.
I thought you played shortstop for the Baltimore Orioles.
No. The only thing, if you're on drugs, you get a lot of girls, but if you're chewing tobacco, you don't get any girls. They don't like that at all.
That French kissing really goes right out the window.
What's French kissing? But the name of the song is Margie's at the Lincoln Park Inn, and I hope I can remember what to do after the modulation. So. My name's in the paper where I took the Boy Scouts to hike. My hands are all dirty from working on my little boy's bike. The preacher came by, I talked for a minute with him. My wife's in the kitchen, and Margie's at the Lincoln Park Inn. And I know why she's there. I've been there before. but I made a promise that I wouldn't cheat anymore. I tried to ignore it, but I know she's in there, my friend. My mind's on a number, and Margie's at the Lincoln Park Inn. Next Sunday it's my turn to speak to the young people's class, and they expect answers to all of the questions they ask. What would they say if I spoke on a modern day sin? And all of the Margies at all of the Lincoln Park Inn. The bike is all fixed, my little boy's in bed asleep. His little old puppy is curled in a ball at my feet. My wife's baking cookies to feed to the bridge club again. I'm almost out of cigarettes, and Margie's at the Lincoln Park Inn. And I know why she's there. Chet produced that record.
Miss Lori Morgan is sitting here, and she is a child of the Opry. Her very famous daddy, George Morgan, used to bring her down here, I'm sure, when you were a little girl. Did you make your singing debut on the Opry here?
My first time I ever got paid for singing, yes. I used to do your show a lot before that.
And I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Ralph.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about when you sang Paper Roses.
Yes, that was where I debuted, right here on that stage.
How old were you?
13.
Tell me an Opry story from those early days.
I'll tell you a funny story that happened. Well, it's kind of funny, but it is to me anyway. But when I was a little girl, I collected all the autographs from people backstage, and I had my little autograph book that, you know, I brought here every weekend, and my little girlfriend Debbie and I would sit on the stage, and we'd watch everybody come out and perform, and we thought we were, you know, really happening chicks back then, you know, because we got to set up on the stage. And one week, Tex Ritter was here, and I was so excited, and I ran back and I got his autograph, and we went and sat on the stage and watched Tex perform. And you know how noisy it is backstage. Everybody's talking while everybody's out there performing, and Debbie and I were sitting there probably 10 feet from where he was singing, and we were laughing and looking at the autograph, how excited we were. And the band took a break to do an instrumental, and Tex turned around to somebody and said, "Who's them two kids sitting back there on stage?" And I don't know what somebody said. He said, "Well, tell them to shut up. I'm trying to sing." I took my autograph and ripped it up right there, and I wish I had it today.
Did you sing with George down here when you were a little girl?
I did. Well, that was my first time that I sang on the Opry. I sang Paper Roses, and that's kind of a funny story, too. Leon Rhodes and the whole Opry band, you know, they took me to the dressing room and rehearsed Paper Roses with me, and I was a nervous wreck. I mean, I was just scared to death, and I asked Leon Rhodes, I said, "What do I do if I get an encore?" He said, "Well, you won't, but if you do, you just come back in and sing the chorus again." And so, of course, after I sang that, the audience stood up, and I looked at Dad. He was crying, and I just kind of turned around and looked at Leon like, "Well, you going to hit that chord or not, you know?"
You want to sing a little bit for us?
I'd love to.
How about what part of No?
I'll sing it.
Okay.
Sir, if you don't mind, I'd rather be alone. From the moment I walked in at night, you've been coming on. If I've told you once, I've told you twice, I'm just here to unwind. I'm not interested in romance, what you have in mind. What part of no don't you understand? Give her a mic to put it plain and simple. I'm not into one-night stands. I'll be glad to explain it if it's too hard to comprehend. What part of no don't you understand? Want this verse, Porter? I appreciate the drink
Singing this to
and the
me.
rose was nice of you. Want a verse? I don't mean to be so mean, but I don't think I'm getting through. I don't need no company, and I don't want to dance. So what part of no don't you understand? What part of no don't you understand? To put it plain and simple, I'm not into one-night stands. I'll be glad to explain it if it's too hard to comprehend. What part of no don't you understand? I'll be glad to explain it if it's too hard to comprehend. What part of no don't you understand? What part of no don't you understand? Wow.
Wow.
I bet that's the key I recorded it in too, isn't it?
Have you changed it out on
I
the road?
believe I've changed it many times since then, yes.
The road key is always different than the one
Oh,
we
yeah.
We are doing this show in the historic Ryman Auditorium, which for a long time was the home of the Grand Ole Opry. And I want to ask all of you wonderful people who are sitting here, how many of you ever performed in the Ryman? Most of you. I want to, Porter, tell me a Ryman Auditorium story.
Gosh, there's a million of them, I'm sure, Ralph.
You'd have to talk into that microphone, Porter.
There's a million of them. That's the first thing that I learned when I come to the Ryman. That shows you how damn long I've been here. I'm forgetting now. There's a lot of wonderful stories, I'm sure, about the Ryman. I can't think of one right at the moment, though.
Well, I was thinking about the Newport cigarette story.
Oh, well, that was a story about. I used to listen to the Grand Ole Opry when I was on the road. We'd put the car radio on and especially the late shows to see how many trips the artist had made over to Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, and you could always tell. One night, Acuff came on 11 o'clock, and I was listening. I was in Colorado, and he came on. You could tell he'd made 3 or 4 trips over there. And they had a brand new sponsor, Newport Cigarettes. And Roy did his opening number and said his opening remarks and said to Grant Turner, said, "Grant, I believe we needed something from you now." And Grant said, "Yeah." I said, "We have a brand new sponsor, Newport." He said, Porter Wagner, bring him on out here." I knew he'd made a bunch of trips over there that night.
Bobby?
You know, B.J. Thomas has been one of the most successful singers that we know. And he started out down in Texas with Huey Moe. Doing,
Oh, man, yeah, I sure did.
The first song I remember hearing B.J. sing.
I survived it, though.
I almost named my son Bobby Jr. B.J. And so, yeah, I was going to call him just plain B.J.
Yeah,
Hey, Bobby.
But for some reason, I changed my mind.
What part of almost do you not understand? I mean,
Check.
Because B.J. had out a song then that was great. It was an old Hank Williams song.
Yeah, I saw Hank Williams sing this song when I was just a young guy. I was 38, and I was about 8 years old, and my dad took us all downtown in Houston, Texas, and we saw the Grand Ole Opry when they passed through town. You know, back in those days, man, they were all huge stars, you know. So, and I never could get over how shiny those pictures were of them. You know, I always wanted to look like that. And anyway, Hank came out, and I guess I have to say now that you know, Ernest Tubb was my all-time hero and favorite guy. But Hank, his music suited me a little better, I guess. And I remember the look on my dad's face that night, you know, when Hank was on, and how he just was shining. And so maybe that was when I, you know, got the idea I'd get in this mess, you know. I got the chance to make my first album, and I was getting in the car with my buddy to go to the studio, and my dad kind of stepped out of the door, and he said, "Son, if you don't record something country on this album, well, don't come back to this house." And he kind of stepped back in, you know. And that's kind of the way my dad was. And I didn't know if he was kidding or not, but he really asked me to do something by Ernest Tubb, but Hank's stuff kind of fit me better. So I did "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry." We put it on the B side of this thing we thought was a hit record, and we went downtown in Houston to KILT radio station and played him the song. Played Bob White, the program director, the song that we thought was a hit, and he said, "Well, BJ," he said, "you know, I'm not going to play that," but he says, "While you're here, let's hear the other side." And he turned it over, and you know, after about 2 verses, well, he took it in, and they put it on the air, and that's really how I got started. It was a #1 record in 3 weeks, and I went out with Dick Clark, and you know, been doing it ever since. So.
Well, I wish you'd sing it, because you did a wonderful job.
Can I stand up? Yeah, I got to stand up here. Give me Jesus. Did you hear that lonesome whippoorwill? He sounds too blue to fly. The midnight train is winding low, and I'm so lonesome I could cry. You have to get Larry to help me. You have to do harmony with me. Did you ever see a night so long when time goes crawling by? The moon just went behind the cloud, and I'm so lonesome I could cry. All right, I think I'm finally there. Did you ever see a robin weep when leaves begin to die? That means she's lost the will to live, and I'm so lonesome I could cry. The silence of a falling star lights up a purple sky, and as I wonder where you are, I'm so lonesome I cry. That was close.
Whoa. Bobby, I know you worked the last show here at the Grand Ole Opry, didn't you?
I did.
One in this house.
I did the last night here at the Ryman before they went to Opryland. Me and my little boy, Bobby Bear Jr., sang a song called Daddy, What If, right there. And then I never went over to the other place. If they'd come back to the Ryman, I'd be here every night.
You don't like the other place?
Well, it's okay, but I love the Ryman. I came down here when I was a teenager, hitchhiked down to watch the Opry. I sat right out there behind that pole, and I got to hear all of my heroes sing. And no, I love the Ryman.
Well, speaking of...
He scared the hell out of his other little boy, me.
Oh, yeah.
On the first time I ever played on the Opry, I got right there, and he wanted me, we was over at Tootsie's. So you can imagine, and hooking it back over here, and by the time we got at the top of the stairs, he said, you sing with me. And we didn't even know no songs to start with, you know. So we sung Sing the Blues to Daddy. And about halfway through the song, I realized that Hank Williams, Red Foley, Ernest Tubb, and all them people had stood right there, and I was wondering what I was doing there. So I just grabbed a note and held on.
You did great, Waylon. Waylon's the greatest harmony singer in the world. And Chet will tell you that.
Why don't you and Waylon sing
Yeah.
a song?
Chet tell you that. He told me, he said, don't ever try to get a job with a vocal group. You don't leave no parts for nobody else.
Well, Chet also thinks his brother Oswald was the greatest, too.
So what did he know?
Why don't you and Waylon sing us a song, Bobby?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm only going to help on the choruses.
Okay.
And everybody else is going to sing along on the choruses, too.
Find it, just jump in. A long time forgotten, the dreams that just fell by the way. The good life he promised ain't what she's living today. But she never complains of the bad times or the bad things he's done. They know you sounded like it. He just talks about the good times they've had, all the good times to come.
She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man. She loves him in spite of his ways that she don't understand. Through teardrops and laughter, they pass through this world hand in hand. This good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man.
Everybody go to eat. He likes the bright lights, night light, good time and free. When the party's all over, she welcomes him back home again. Lord knows she don't understand him, but she does the best that she can. Lord, to be a good-hearted woman to the world's youngest sturdy old man.
She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man. She loves him in spite of his wicked ways that she don't understand. Through teardrops and laughter, she'll pass through this world hand in hand. Lord, a good-hearted woman, loving a good-timing man. She's a good-hearted woman, loving a good-timing man.
Hey!
Bobby, I believe it's your turn to bring on our next guest.
Well, of all the new acts to come along in the 80s, I could call them new acts. And one that I respect a lot is Ricky Van Shelton, because he always has great songs. And I'm really curious to know how, Ricky, how you get all those great songs, and plus, how'd you get a record deal when you came to Nashville?
Well, first of all, you have to search a whole lot. You have to listen to a lot of songs and to find good songs. It's hard to find good songs. It's really, really hard to find great songs. And the song I'm going to do here is Jack to a King, which is an old classic. And I put a classic on every album I've ever recorded because I like them, and the different folks that buy my record like them. And the third reason is they're great songs, and they're really hard to find. I moved here in 1984, December the 27th, 84, and it took me a year and a half to get my record contract, which was very quick, but I met the right people. You got to meet the right people. And I met Jerry Thompson, who's a newspaper columnist, but it has nothing to do with country music, but Jerry's one of these people who knows everybody. And he and I became friends. And he carried me down to Rick Blackburn at Columbia Records, which is Sony Records now, and I guess the rest is history, I guess you'd say.
And the old Ned Miller song that you recorded.
Jack the King, yeah.
Ned's an old friend of ours and a great writer. So I think you ought to sing it.
Okay, let's do it. From a jack to a king, from loneliness to a wedding ring, I played an ace and I won a queen, and walked away with your heart. From a jack to a king, with no regret, I stacked the cards last night, and lady luck played her hand just right to make you king of my heart. For just a little while, I thought that I might lose the game, but then just in time I saw the twinkle in your eye. From a jack to a king, from loneliness to a wedding ring, I played an ace and I won a queen that made me king of your heart. For just a little while, I thought that I might lose the game, but then just in time I saw the twinkle in your eye. From a jack to a king, from loneliness to a wedding ring, I played an ace and I won a queen that made me king of your heart.
And what a great voice. Ricky, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Some people look for you under the V's, some look for you under the
Yes.
S's. Your name confuses a lot of people.
It was great because when I first started, you go to the store and find my album under V and S.
Oh, okay.
So I got two spots.
So they double loaded.
Yeah, it was good to start with.
It's Ricky and Van is your middle name.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Gatlin, I want to tell you that every time I called you down there in Texas, you live at Austin, don't you?
Yes, live in Barton Creek Country Club in Austin, Texas.
And every time I called you about this show, you greeted the suggestions of what we're doing here with so much enthusiasm. You were pumped. And I appreciate that. And I think it's time that you sang us a little song.
All right,
Tell me the story. Is there a story behind all the gold?
There is a story behind the song.
Okay. That gives you one and me one.
What a concept. And here they are, Don and Phil. Okay. Well, my dear friend Fred Foster, Chris Christopherson and Dottie had gotten us an album deal, at Monument. Well, I went into Fred one day and when it was obvious that we really couldn't make that thing happened. I said, Fred, you're my friend and I love you and I appreciate you doing this for me. I want to get in the game. I want to get, because he had, the little record company, Monument. And he very graciously helped me, try to find another record contract and another deal. So I had been talking to Jim Mazza at United Artists Records in L.A. on Sunset. And I drove down Sunset and around Highland, that old Holiday Inn, right there on Highland in L.A., trying to get over to Warner Brothers to talk to Mo Austin about a record deal. About, buying Fred's part of the deal, So I got stuck in a traffic jam at the Hollywood Bowl. I mean, and cars were backed up forever. And there was a 1958 Mercury station wagon with skinny kids hanging out the windows. And, all they needed was Granny Clampett on top in that rocking chair. I mean, it was, the first thing old Jed's, it was the Beverly Hillbillies, with Oklahoma license plates. I thought, these poor folks from Oklahoma, they're coming out here to California, and they think it's the land of milk and honey, and they're going to break their plate and send them back to, McAllister in no time. Because I said, they're going to find out that all the gold in California is in a bank in the middle of Beverly Hills. And I reached up and got the Avis thing, the off the rent car, and grabbed a pencil real quick and wrote down all the gold in California is in a bank in the middle of Beverly Hills and somebody else's name. Stuck it in the seat. Went into my meeting with Mo Austin. He said, I don't want you to record for our company. And I sat in the Warner Brothers parking lot and wrote the rest of the song. Took it to CBS, and it was a hit, Mo. Na, 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 na. That's the God's truth.
Oh.
The God's truth. And we came back to Houston. We were doing a gig. Waylon might have been on it. I know Willie was on it in Houston. And Charlie Daniels, a bunch of us did a big, wherever he is, And I sang it for Steve Smith, my guitar player. He said, we need to buy some time and go put that one down. He said, that's a hit. So it was the first record we released for CBS. And a long time ago, it went to number 1. And if somebody will give me a G, all the gold in California is in a bank in the middle of Beverly Hills. It's somebody else's name. So if you're dreaming about California, it don't matter at all where you played before. California's a brand new game. Trying to be a hero, winding up a zero, can scar a man forever, right down to his soul. Living on the spotlight can kill a man outright, 'cause everything that glitters is not gold. Everybody now! And all the gold in California is in a bank in the middle of Beverly Hills. It's somebody else's name. So if you're dreaming about California, it don't matter at all where you played before. California's a brand new game. We're going to take it up a little bit. Here we go. All the gold in California is in a bank in the middle of Beverly Hills. It's somebody else. Hit 'em, boys. If you're dreaming about California, it don't matter at all where you played before. California's a brand new game. A brand new
Oh, that's good. We have a pretty lady back here who, I guess she, I'm going to use the term grew up. She's from Texas. She grew up in the Nashville recording studios and gained a great reputation as a background singer. And then I think made a record with Johnny Duncan, where she came out front. I don't think you got any.
Shut out the light and lead me. I don't
think you got any billing.
On the first few records with Johnny, I told him to leave my name off because I wanted to remain a backup singer. And in fact, Larry was producing that first session. What was that first record we did with Joe and the Cowboy? And I said, no, don't give me credit because I didn't want the other singers to think I was trying to step out.
Well, so
I stepped out
Ralph?
anyway.
Ralph, it seemed to work. Yes,
funny.
TG.
If I'm not mistaken, when I recorded "Devil in the Bottle,"
I was your
in
backup
Memphis,
singer in Memphis.
Janie was my backup singer, and I think that was the first record. Was that the first record you?
Yes, because I was a jingle singer in Memphis doing
Right.
station ID call letters, you know.
I didn't mean to jump in there,
KLIF
but I do remember that.
And we came over to sing harmony I
On
was
Devil in
singing
the
with
Bottle.
Rhodes, Chalmers, and Rhodes
Right.
at that time.
Sure was.
Backup singers. Dusty Rhodes kids, I guess.
Right,
Sandra
yeah.
and
And I believe,
so we
I
sang on
believe you
Devil in the
came
Bottle.
to Nashville to work for me.
Yes,
because
Lynn.
my band leader, Buddy Skipper, said, "There's a girl in Memphis that sings like you better than you do."
Oh no, no! And I went out on some of your shows singing behind Lynn. I still have pictures of that.
Did you make records with about everybody here?
I sure think I did. And this moment is priceless for me because I haven't seen a lot of these friends for many years. And I want to say thanks to these band members back here who are playing along with all of us. I'm sure they're going to get credit here in a minute, but thank you so much to all of the familiar faces behind us.
Would you like to sing with them?
Well, yeah, and I want everybody to sing with me. And what is this, Kia B? Pretend I got a headband on, okay? Back in those old days. Well, you can't deny how good he looks. I couldn't find another on the cover of a book, believe me. But I've almost loved him once or twice. Woo! But don't be fooled by his innocent smile. Clever as a devil and just as wild. He's crazy, but a little crazy. It's kinda nice. Come on now, everybody. Well, he's a heartache, looking for a place to happen, looking for a little action, living for the moment, not for loving. He's a heartache, looking for a place to happen, temporary satisfaction. Well, if you try to hold on, he's gone. Woo! I'm gonna take him on the road with me. Well, I might as well tell someone else. I know I'll never happen to myself, not likely. But I wouldn't mind just one more night. If he wants to hold you with a bit, don't pass up the opportunity to know him. 'Cause you won't forget him all your life. But whatever you do, be wise enough not to fall in love. 'Cause he's a heartache, looking for a place to happen, looking for a little action, living for the moment, not for loving. He's a heartache, looking for a place to happen, temporary satisfaction. Well, if you try to hold on, he's gone. 8 bars now, oh, whatever you do, be wise enough not to fall in love. 'Cause he's a heartache, looking for a place to happen, looking for a little action, living for the moment, not for love. He's a heartache, looking for a place to happen, temporary satisfaction. Well, if you try to hold on, he's gone. If you try to hold on, he's gone. He's gone. Woo-hoo. Gone.
I've got an interesting neighbor who probably is, as the crow flies, about a mile from me, and he loves animals and he loves to go to the zoo. And I'd like for him to join us now and tell us about some of his adventures from Mayberry, Mr. Goober, George Lindsay.
I'm sorry, Ralph. I was having a senior moment. It's you know what a senior moment is? It's when you go in the bathroom, you don't know why you're in there. That's, 2 snakes were talking. One said to the other one, "Are we poisonous snakes?" The other one said, "Yeah, why do you ask?" He said, "I just bit my tongue." A chicken is the only animal in the world that can eat anything it wants to and never gain weight in his face. Everybody here's had boneless chicken. Have you ever been to a boneless chicken bar? You ought to see them. This old man's walking down a path, and a big frog jumps out in front of him and says, "I'm a magical frog. Kiss me on the lips, and I will turn into a beautiful princess." And he just picked up the frog and put him in the pocket of his sweater and walked down. The frog said, "I said I'm a magical frog. Take me out of your pocket, kiss me on the lips, and I'll turn into a beautiful princess." He said, "No, at my age, I'd rather have a talking frog." I got one. Helen was Helen was walking. I did black draught. I never did cocaine, but Helen was walking down the street, and she was walking along, and a boy said, "Helen, you're going to live a long time." What? Who said that? "Helen, you're going to live a long time." Who said that? "It's me, the Lord." Oh my goodness. The Lord said said, "I'm going to live a long time." So Helen ran, and she got a lot of money out of the bank, and she had a facelift and a tummy tuck, and had her hair dyed, and got some new stockings and high heels, and got just everything. And when she healed up, and got well, she got all dolled up and everything, and walked out in the street, and the car run over and killed her. And she's up there in heaven, and she said, "St. Peter, I'm Helen. I need to see the Lord." And came out, "Yes." Helen here said, "You said I was going to live a long time," and said, "I went through all this surgery, and they sandpapered my face with double-aught sandpaper, and I got all these new clothes and dyed my hair and everything, got all dressed up, went out in the street, and the car run over me. How come?" He said, "You know, to tell the truth, Helen, I didn't recognize you."
Since I came from the disc jockey fraternity, I got to mention that both Waylon and Willie at one time were disc jockeys.
That's right. Yeah.
And
not at the same station, though.
Where'd you work, Willie?
I was, several stations in Texas, Hillsboro and several of those big cities down there.
Do you have a radio story?
Pleasanton. I have several. I stole my intro from Eddie Hill. You remember Eddie Hill, Chet?
Oh, yeah.
And he had a great disc jockey program, and he had this big opening that he used to use. And so I took his and kind of elaborated on it, and mine was, "This is your old cotton-picking, snuff-dipping, tobacco-chewing, stump-jumping, gravy-sopping, coffee-pot dodging, dumpling-eating hillbilly from Hill County, Willie Nelson."
Cowboys ain't easy to love, and they're harder to hold. They'd rather give you a song than diamonds or gold.
Lone Star belt buckles and old faded Levi's, and each night begins a new day. And if you don't understand him and he don't die young, well then he'll probably just ride away. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Don't let them pick guitars and drive them old trucks. Let them be doctors and lawyers and such. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. They'll never stay home, and they're always alone, even to someone they love. Okay. Cowboys like smoky old pool rooms and clear mountain mornings.
Little he's in with girls in the night. What are you doing? That's your line.
Them that don't know him won't like him, and them that do sometimes won't know how to take it. He ain't wrong, he's just different. but his pride won't let him.
He didn't
do
know the
things
words, I know.
to make you think he's right. Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Don't let them pick guitars and drive them old trucks. And I'll be doctors and lawyers and such. Mama, don't let your cowboys grow up to be babies. They'll never stay home and they're always home. Keep on someone they love.
Not only does he sing out of meter, he lives out of meter, too. The reason he wasn't here.
You know, this show brings together so many old friends I haven't seen in a long time. One of them is T.G. Shepherd. And T.G., it's awful good to see you again, my friend.
It's good seeing you, Bill.
Bill Browder, Dyersburg, Tennessee. Why did you change your name?
Well, I was working as a promotion man for RCA Victor at the time, and working with people like Waylon and Elvis, and there were so many great performers. And I was a singer in the 60s before I got into record promotion business. I didn't want to record under my real name because I was afraid I'd lose my job at RCA promoting my own records. So I was actually discovered, believe it or not, most people here don't know this, I was discovered by Barry Gordy at Motown. And that was the only white act they had until, I think, Jose Feliciano or somebody else, or Adam Ant, one of the rock and rollers, came along. But I changed my name because I needed an assumed name because I didn't want to lose my job. I'd had 2 #1 records before anybody knew who I was. But I've got to tell you something even more important than that. And I shared this with Waylon earlier in the dressing room. The reason I'm sitting here today is because of Waylon. And I don't think he even knew it until today. But many years ago, back when they used to have the convention down in the hotel down on Robertson Parkway, I think.
The old disc jockey convention.
The old disc jockey convention. Waylon and I was there on the bed one day. Wait a minute, let me rectify that. That don't sound right. Jesse was long too now. How the hell do we get out of this, Waylon? Anyway, I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, and Waylon's sitting on the other bed over here with Jesse, and he's playing a red, I think it was a Vox guitar, wasn't it? And I was so impressed with Waylon's vocal work because I was a promotion man for RCA, and I've idolized him for years. And he said, well, here, Hoss, you take this guitar home with you. So I took it home. And that day, I think, was the start of my wanting to become a country singer, and I was so influenced by Waylon. And I thank you for all the houses and the buses that I've had to give away through marriages. And, and you've been there, too.
Why don't you sing us one of those hits, like Last Cheater's Waltz? I know that was a big record for you.
Well, no, I haven't done it in a while, but maybe we can get through it. We'll see.
Okay.
She was going to pieces. He walked in the door. She just had to see him. She can't wait no more. Tonight he'll be with her, no matter the cost. As the band plays the last cheater's waltz, he tells her he loves her, and the music plays on. He tells her he needs her, but someone's at home. The ball game's all over, and she knows she's lost. As the band plays the last cheater's waltz. Here come the Who's, everybody. Don't they sound lonely? Oh, sing it, Larry. I hear you over there.
I get a chance to sing harmony for a second.
as they dance to the last cheater's waltz. Here come the string parts, oh yeah. You always where I am, Larry. Eating up all the camera time now, you know you are. And don't they sound lonely? That was, you don't dance too bad either. Don't they play sad? And three-quarter only. Watch how he holds her as they dance to the last cheater's waltz.
G.G. Shepard, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Ralph.
There's a little lady sitting right next to you that I've had the pleasure of knowing a long time. Her and her mama and her daddy. Tell me about Rose Garden. You didn't have the first record of this, did you?
No, my record was the 7th record of this.
Really?
Did you have this before I did? No. Boy, like several people out of Atlanta. I had thought you did, BJ. Yours was one of the rumored names, but several people had it. Tony Joe White, Billy Joe Royal, you know, those kind of folks.
I don't want you to be mad at me.
No, but it just never worked. So it was. This was just one that seemed.
Whose idea was it to put the strings on?
Pretty sure that was Glenn Sutton.
Okay, you want to do it for us?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to stand up. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. There's gotta be a little rain sometime. Come on, Janie. When you take, you gotta give. So live, let live, so let go. Oh, 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 oh. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. I could promise you things like big diamond rings, but you don't find roses growing on stalks of clover. So you better think it over. If sweet talking you could make it come true, I'd give you the world right now on a silver platter. But what would it matter? So smile for a while and let's be jolly. Love shouldn't be so melancholy. Come along and share the good times while we can. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. There's gotta be a little rain sometime. I beg your pardon. Never promised you a rose garden. I could sing you a tune and promise you the moon, but if that's what it takes to hold you, just as soon let you go. But there's one thing I want you to know. You better look before you leap. Still waters run deep. There won't always be someone there to pull you out. And you know what I'm talking about. So smile for a while and let's be out of this. I never promised you a rose garden.
Aha, thanks, John. Fade. How do you fade on stage?
Well, you know, I have been such a big Roy Clark fan from the minute that I met him. When I lived in L.A., I used to drive to Vegas to watch Roy get on stage at the Golden Nugget and pick. And I know Roy had been up for 2 or 3 days. And he would stand back there and roll them eyes, and he was more entertaining than anybody I ever met. How did when they first started up Hee Haw, how did they pick you and Buck to co-host that?
I was a guest on the Jonathan Winters show, and I had done most of the television shows that would use different artists, all the variety shows and situation comedy shows, and Frank Pepiot and John Aylesworth were the producers of the Jonathan Winters show, and they came to me and said that they had this idea to do a country music version of Laugh-In, and would I be interested in being one of the hosts? And you say yes to everything in this business because a lot of it never happens anyway. But from the inception, they had an idea to have Buck Owens, one of the top record sellers of all times, and someone that was familiar with television audiences, which was me. And that was like in September of 1968. January or February of 1969, Jim Halsey called and said they're ready to go with that show. I said, what show? He said, they're calling it Hee Haw. I said, they're calling what Hee Haw? And he said, well, that's just a working title. By the time it's on the air, they'll probably come up, with a good name for the show, which they couldn't have picked a better name.
Hee Haw. I see George Lindsay back there. I bet you guys had some times together.
Well, no more than I could avoid. No, we did have some great times together.
I went by to say hello to Roy and stayed 20 years. They were hiring goobers that day. I was, Grandpa, we all sat around and waited to see what Grandpa would say. It was just like plucking little jewels. But I thought about all these wonderful stars and singers here. I feel like the guy who plays the comb with the Philharmonic. But one Grandpa story, and I was there. A lot of Grandpa stories are made up, but this happened. We were in Houston, and we're trying to find this Italian restaurant. And so we went up and down this street about a zillion times. I don't know, and everybody got mad, and nobody knew where it was. And finally, everybody was not speaking to each other, and Grandpa said, they're beginning to wave. We've been there so much they knew us. Do you know how amazing it is to sit here with all of you stars and not have a song? Butterbeans ain't gonna get it today.
Ralph, they say Grandpa Jones bought a car. You know when them windshield wipers first came out, that them intermittent windshield wipers, and Grandpa Jones didn't know about them yet, and it was raining like heck, and he's driving that new car, and them windshield wipers just every now and then come over, like they do. And he didn't know how to adjust the thing. And he finally got so mad, he just pulled over to the side, jumped out on the hood, and grabbed the wipers and went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Ralph, I want to tell you a serious thing about Roy that I appreciate, because I worked a lot in Las Vegas with Roy and at the Frontier.
Yes, we did.
And we were there one time, and they had a bomb scare. And Roy went out. Do you remember this? And he went out and he sat on the stool, and he said, "Now we need to empty the showroom." And he said, "I just want you to all just move quietly." And he didn't say there was a bomb threat and everything. But Roy sat there and talked until everyone was out. And so you kept everybody calm, because if he'd have been the first one out, they'd have done so much really bad. But I appreciated that so much. You're just awesome. And I appreciate the times that I had to work with you. I love you.
That's strange that you would remember that, and I do now that you bring it up. Yeah.
I really wanted out of that building really bad, but I tried not to go too fast because you were still in there.
Well, Roy,
but I appreciate it.
Roy, you recorded one of my all-time favorite songs, and you know what I'm talking about. It's Yesterday When I Was Young. If you can grab that guitar, you'd be doing me a favor by singing it, because I love that song.
Well,
is that an old French melody?
It's a French song. Charles Aznavour wrote it.
That's what I thought.
And Scotty Turner brought the song to me back. We were getting ready to do an album, and he said, I have a song that he was producing artists then. He said, but it doesn't fit any of the people that I'm recording. He said, well, you could do it. And the more he talked about it, the more excited he became. And he had the first copy of a piano player singing the English lyrics, because it had been a hit in England, in Europe, for like 5 or 6 years before Charles Aznavour finally approved the English translation. And we did it out at Bradley's Barn, and Joe Allison is the producer on it. Yesterday, when I was young, the taste of life was sweet as rain upon my tongue. I teased at life as if it were a foolish game, the way the evening breeze may tease a candle flame. The thousand dreams I dreamed, the splendid things I planned, I always built to last on weak and shifting sand. I live by night and shun the naked light of day, and only now I see how the years ran away. Yesterday, when I was young, so many happy songs were waiting to be sung. So many wild pleasures lay in store for me, and so much pain my dazzled eyes refused to see. I ran so fast the time, and youth at last ran out. I never stopped to think what life was all about, and every conversation I can now recall concerned itself with me and nothing else at all. Yesterday, the moon was blue, and every crazy day brought something new to do. I used my magic age as if it were a wand, and never saw the waste and the emptiness beyond. The game of love I played with arrogance and pride, and every flame I lit too quickly died. The friends I made all seem somehow to drift away, and only I am left on stage to end the play. There are so many songs songs in me that won't be sung. I feel the bitter taste of tears upon my tongue. The time has come for me to pay for yesterday when I was young.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you very much. Larry, you had a word about Roy Clark?
Roy Clark has been a friend to me for over 25 years. We did Hee Haw. We did some shows with him. And I called Roy a couple of years ago and said, Roy, I'm going to go out. The brothers and I still love each other, and we're going to sing music every now and then. We don't know when all that's going to be. But I'm going to do a solo show and take my daughter's going to sing harmony and some other people. We're going to take the band. And I want a way to get on stage that, is a little different. And what I'd like to do is do a video and have the screen come down. Would you honor me by introducing me and singing Johnny Be Good? Well, I know how that is. Everybody has a golf tournament. Everybody wants you to sing something. Well, come on over. We'll pay your expenses. Well, lady, you ain't got no idea what my expenses are. In the first place, you ain't married to my wife. You got no idea. And he'd been on the road, like we all are, probably 15, 18 days a week. I met him in Tulsa. His people put together the whole thing. He came over there at 10 o'clock in the morning, stayed there 2 or 3 hours, sang Johnny Be Good till we were both blue in the face. Never said, well, let me check my schedule, let me do this. He just said, you come to town and I'll be there. And I think that story is, to me, very typical of what this town is about and what the people, when I came here, every now and then there was somebody that didn't like what I was doing, but for the most part, people patted you on the back and said, yeah, kid, go get them and do it. And I appreciate that. And every night when you're up there and say, here's my friend Larry Gatlin, I come out there and I fake my guitar part. I'm not going to play guitar with you. And we do Johnny Be Good, and we have a hell of a time, and I love you and I appreciate it. God bless
your heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got a lot of good out of that, too. I've run into people who said, I saw you on stage with Larry Gatlin. And I said, wow, you just came back from South Carolina, didn't you? He said, yeah, I did.
You know that song we talked about B.J. Thomas singing, and then we heard he didn't want to sing it, and then we decided we'd all sing it to him. Well, he's now changed his mind.
Well, then we got to have it.
We're talking about Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
I don't know where that came from. Yeah, I just happened to be in the right time, right place at the right time. They wrote all their songs for Dionne Warwick, and they happened to write one that wouldn't fit her, and I got it. So
what was the girl's name who was riding the bicycle when you were singing the song?
I don't.
Carolyn Ross.
Yeah,
Catherine Ross. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So and the first time after it was a hit, I played some club up in New York, and they wanted me to ride a bicycle across the stage and carry an umbrella and stuff, and it was like worse than having the Duke of Earl and having to wear a cape or something. But I wouldn't trade anything for being able to get this song, do this song. I hear it in elevators now. Huh?
How'd you like riding that bicycle?
I didn't ride it.
Do you know how many people turned it down?
Well, I heard those stories, but I don't believe them, because I think if someone came to you and they said they had a song in a Paul Newman movie, you wouldn't turn it down. So I've heard people say they turned it down. I know Ray said he turned it down, but I don't believe him.
Well, I turned it down for you.
Oh, you did? Okay, well, I'll believe that now.
I didn't think he could reach that high enough.
Well, he couldn't. No, he could. He could. Now, if you turn it down, I believe that now, because I know you. He does. Well, yeah. Well, and then Bobby Goldsboro, I must have had it. I guess I believe it now. Bobby Goldsboro turned it down too. So I finally got it because nobody wanted to do it.
Porter Wagner turned it down.
Porter Wagner turned it down.
Everybody who didn't turn it down, raise your hand. George Gubert.
Chet Atkins turned down Busted for me.
He did. Man, Chet.
Said he was communistic. That's right.
You're as bad as Ronnie.
Did he really? He did, yeah. I haven't forgotten it yet either.
Before we get a fight going here, why don't you sing the song?
All right, how many times you gonna do that little intro deal? Yeah, do it one more time. Yeah, all right. Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy's feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head, and they keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun, and I said I didn't like the way he got things done. He's sleeping on the job. Those raindrops are falling on my head, and they keep falling. But there's one thing I know, the blues they sing to meet me won't defeat me. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Oh yeah, something's in there. Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Cries out for me, 'cause I'm never gonna stop the rain by complaining, because I'm free. Nothing's worrying me. It won't be long till happiness steps up to greet me. Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Cries out for me, 'cause I'm never gonna stop the rain by complaining, because I'm free. Nothing's worrying me.
We got a tune over here that I asked Ray to go on over to the big Baldwin piano, and he finally said, "Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do Misty." Was this something you planned, or was this an accident, a jam session on a session?
You sound like you've heard the story. It was an
I
accident.
haven't.
Well, it was an accident. We were rehearsing for me and my road band for a television show that we're going to shoot the next day here in Nashville, and we were rehearsing in my little studio. And just for kicks, during one of the breaks in the rehearsal, we started clowning around with Misty, because it was, such a classic jazz piece with all the major seventh chords and all that. And we started doing it with a banjo and a fiddle and steel, and doggone it started sounding good. And I called the engineer. He was at home. I said, "Get over here. We want to record this." So he jumped in the car and came down, and we took 2 takes. And then overdubbed the voices out of the band guys that sung background on stage with me. And we cut the thing in about an hour. And sure enough, it won a Grammy that year for the best arrangement of the year.
I'm not surprised.
One of those flukes, as they say.
And I like this version better than Johnny Mathis's.
Well, John, are you ready? Go ahead. Well, it's a longer intro than that, but we hadn't rehearsed this. We just talked about it. Look at me. I'm as helpless as kitten up a tree. Yeah. I'm walking on a cloud. I can't understand, Lord. I'm Misty holding your hand. Walk my way, and 1,000 violins begin to play. Or it might be the sound of your hello, that music I hear, Lord. I'm Misty the moment you're near. You can say that you'll lead me on, but it's just what I want you to do. Don't you notice how hopelessly I'm lost? That's why I'm following you.
this wonderland alone, never knowing the right foot from the left, my hat from the glove. I missed it too much in love. All well done. You can say that you lead me on, but it's just what I want you to do. Don't you notice how hopelessly I'm lost? That's why I'm following you. Should have wandered through this wonderland alone, never knowing the right foot from the left, my hat from the glove. I missed it too much in love. Too much in love. Too much in love.
Yesterday, the moon was blue, and every crazy day brought something new to do. I used my magic age as if it were a wand, and never saw the waste and the emptiness beyond. The game of love I played with arrogance and pride, and every flame I lit too quickly died. The friends I made all seemed somehow to drift away, and only I am left on stage to end the play. There are so many songs in me that won't be sung. I feel a bitter taste of tears upon my tongue. The time has come for me to pay for yesterday when I was young.